everyone, and welcome back to Purple Nuna Podcast. I am Stephanie Conti, and I am here with the Colette to my Antoine.
Aww.
Savanna Lanausse.
Bonjour.
Buongiorno. That's Italian, but that's
wrong.
okay. We're in the same hemisphere. Fun fact, we're going to be talking about French movies today. That's why we did our little bonjour and all, you know. But I don't know. So, how are you doing today, Savanna?
I have missed you. It's been weeks,
I
hours,
know.
and
Hours.
days, and
Hours. Really just hours at this point. We just spoke.
Fun fact, I haven't done anything with Stephanie since March. We have not really hung out since March. I've seen her. We've had
COVID is a dumpster fire of a woman, and she's really getting in between our relationship.
We've had beautiful social distance breakfasts.
Yeah, we have a little breakfast tradition where we just, eat pesto chicken quinoa bowls, drink some coffee, and talk shit. That's really we do that every 3 weeks where we just get together, social distance, sit at a big table, end to end, and then just talk that good old jazz. You know? How are you doing tonight, Savanna?
I'm good. I'm like snuggled in a blanket. It's kind of chilly in my house.
Ooh, I'm sweating profusely right now, so you are very fortunate. It's because I don't know why there's a clog in my vent, and so the entire I've never been in a house where there is such a distinct difference from the hallway to a bedroom. There's a visible 10-15 degree difference. So I have 3 fans on at once.
Okay, I was gonna say I hope you have fans in your room.
Yeah, and I use blackout, the blackout curtains too that absorb the sun, and it's still beaming in here. But it is what it is, it's just a little sauna, get a sauna at this point. But yeah, we took a little bit of a break because school was getting a little intensa for me. That's Italian if you didn't know. Sorry. We're recording way later than normal, so I'm in a little stupid mood, but that's okay. But I needed the 2 weeks just to get catch up, and so just to give us time to start prepping things a little bit easier and stuff like that. So hope you didn't miss us too much.
Yeah.
But the last time we the last time we spoke on here and we started recording, we got some new updates. One was an update about today's podcast, where the last time you heard us, we said that we were going to talk about a movie called Eclipse. Well,
yeah,
we did a little bit of a revisiting to that and totally forgot about a very untasteful scene. And sadly, that scene overall, here's our quick review. It's a good movie, but that scene doesn't excuse it still. It's a ugly scene, but it's still not a good enough movie to be important in history enough, or important to film history, to really just dedicate time to it. Your thoughts on it, Savanna?
I mean, yeah, I actually was. So we've seen this movie before, but for some reason, that one scene sort of.
We just kind of blocked it out. When she was like, "Do you remember
watching it?"
Because it's a blackface scene, and she was like, "Do you remember that?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just remember Vitti and Delone just smooching it up." And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh God, I do remember now." Oh, I couldn't believe I forgot it.
I don't remember ever watching it. So when that came on, I was like, and the problem with the scene, not blackface itself is obviously a problem, but it was a long chunk of the movie.
It was long. It was just distasteful, and in my personal opinion, there wasn't enough of this movie to not only make up for the fact that they did that, but to even talk about it. Really, it's not like an amazing film. Where it's not like if we were talking about, if we were to sit around and talk about Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind has film history, a significance to film history. And although people may say Eclipse does, in my opinion, it just doesn't. at least not to the standard of something like Gone with the Wind, where we could talk about it.
I mean, also, Gone with the Wind doesn't have blackface. We could argue
That's true.
that.
That's true. You know, Gone with the Wind does have racial stereotypes, but not to the
Yeah.
point of blackface and
No,
just
I
pure
think that's good.
pure degradation
Yeah,
of, you
exactly.
know, it was just gross. So instead, what we decided to replace it with was kind of like a shot in the dark for us, is a Truffaut film, but we'll get into that. So our second and kind of third update is that on Twitter and on Instagram, we have new little teaser shows, like little 1-minute shows. So Savannah, why don't you give us a rundown of what your show is?
Okay, so my show is called The Good, the Bad, and the Unboxing. Name credits to Stephanie.
I think it's a very good name.
And it's just basically like 1 to 2 minute reviews on Criterion DVD boxes and Blu-rays that I have. I just describe what the DVDs go with, like booklets and behind the scene features. And I kind of just walk you through on how it looks, what's the graphics. And that would be out every Tuesday. And right now I'm doing specifically DVDs that we have reviewed for the first 2 or 3.
Nice. Excellent, excellent. And these shows are not exclusive to just one or the other. Sometimes I might pop on her show, sometimes she might pop on my show. And which, by the way, my show is very, and not very, very, it's a bad pun. That's all I'm going to say. It's a very bad pun, because while I was like, we should give these, you know, little shows names, I came up with her, like the show for her name real quickly, loved it. And then I was like, what can I do? And I just went with the first thing that popped in my head. And what was I thinking about? Good old Jimmy Morrison. And so I was thinking, what if we took one of my favorite songs by the Doors, Riders on the Storm, and just turned it into Writer on the Score. And here we are. So my little segment is Writer on the Score.
I
It
like
comes
that
out every
name.
Thursday. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sometimes like I look at it, I'm like, you're genius, Stephanie. But other times I look at it and I'm like, you're so stupid. But Writer on the Score is essentially me, a writer, fun fact, walking through, because I collect vinyl records, talking a little bit about the history of some records, talking about some soundtracks, giving you some of my favorite songs. And so the first episode that I did, as we're recording this, I did it today. I talked about the soundtrack to A Man and a Woman, and the Fantastic Planet. Now, I would love to correlate the vinyls with what we talk about, but some of the movies we talk about have very hard to find records,
Yeah.
especially some foreign language films. So I'll kind of just do it in the same theme. So I was like, French films. So I just decided to pick those two. Yeah, and I just go through how I acquire them and stuff like that. Just like little nerd record player stuff that I enjoy. So yeah, mine's available on Thursdays and Savannah's show is available on Tuesdays. Both are available on Twitter and Instagram. So check it out. Let us know what you think. And yeah, if you have any recommendations, want to see any of our collections or anything like that, just let us know. This is just because we want to definitely connect with everyone a little bit more.
Yeah.
And this is just a really good way to like put more content, because as I will get further and as Savannah will get further into our school semester, things will become harder. So at least, you know, we don't feel like we're leaving you guys empty handed. You'll have a little bit of something to reference through in case we're not able to get out our weekly podcast. So I'm super excited about it.
Me too. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and plus I think it's also a cool way to learn about things that you didn't know, like especially because like I want to do like a little bit of history on like composers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was real interesting. So I'm really happy that we're going to be doing this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. With that being said, shall we get into our first short film that we'll be discussing today?
Yeah.
All right, so the first film we're going to be talking about. So our theme today is we're going to talk about French movies and really hone in on some French romances. Our first film is a short film called Antoine and Colette, written and directed by Francois Truffaut. And it is about Antoine Donnel is 17, lives in a hotel and works at a factory making records. He falls in love with a woman he meets at a concert. She sees him as a friend, but her parents love him. That good old classic case of being in the friend zone. So the actors are Jean-Pierre Laude and Marie-France Paissier, I believe is how you pronounce it. So yeah, like I said, this came out in 66, written and directed by Truffaut. So Savannah, what did you think about Antoine and Colette?
I mean, it's definitely like the most bubbly film we watched. I think it's like
Out
a
of the
like a
three that we watched, yes, I
like a
agree.
refresher, I guess, from watching the other ones. But I think I liked it a lot. It was very cheerful in a way. Like I don't know how to explain it. I was very like, oh, this is like exciting watching
It's
this.
cutesy. It's very
Yeah.
cutesy.
So I liked it. I liked the main character a lot. I thought he was kind of charming in his own way.
Yeah, and so what's very interesting about this film is that the character Antoine Donnel is actually a main character in several of Truffaut's films, most notably The 400 Blows, which personally I haven't seen yet, but don't worry, we will get to it one day. But yeah, so apparently, like, really, this and the same actor plays the same character for all 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool how you pretty much get to see this, male lead kind of age, not only his character age, but he himself age over the years. Because I believe he was about 14 or 15 when he did 400 Blows. So now we see him at 17. And it's part of an anthology, which I really appreciate and I think is very, very interesting. Um,
That's really interesting, though. Do you think that was a inspiration for Richard Linklater? Because I know he's also famous for doing movies
I
that
could
that
see like
age.
boyhood influences from this type of film. And I think also what's really special about a film like this is that it's mostly based off like an alter ego to Truffaut. So this is really just kind of him reflecting on his childhood as he and like his adult going into adulthood as he was growing older, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, totally Richard Linklater vibes from this one.
Yeah, because his whole career, like the Before trilogy, Boyhood, and he just announced a few months ago that he was making a movie that was going to span for 20 years. So
Wow.
if I would assume that that would be his like, because I don't think anyone did it before Truffaut then.
Yeah, well, I think it's safe to say that someone like Richard Linklater does have a lot of like, even with the Before trilogy, has a lot of French inspiration
Oh
within his
yeah,
works. So I could totally see him like idolizing Truffaut and getting a lot of inspiration from him. And although a short film like this, it doesn't have too much to it. It's not a
no,
hefty load. It's not a grand story or anything, but it really does show the influence that it has had in other people's careers.
for sure. Yeah.
So I think it's really cool, and I personally like I. It's funny. Everyone will look at this Jean, I believe. What was his name again? Jean Pierre. Jean Pierre. I was gonna
Jean-Pierre.
say Jean Claude. Jean Pierre. Everyone knows him for 400 Blows. I know him, and I love him from you guessed it, Last Tango in Paris. So it was really interesting to see him in a much younger role, playing a more realistic character because
Right.
he's just wild in Last Tango in Paris.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
So, I thought the directing was good. I like I thought it was pretty realistic in terms of capturing like the idea of love, even like us, youngsters who didn't grow up in the 60s and everything. I still feel like it holds true today.
Yeah, everyone can pretty much relate to it.
Yeah. Oh, but like I love the idea that it's like the friend zone before the friend zone was invented. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always existed, but I don't think the term was really coined until like what, 10 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So what would you rate this film?
For what it is, I think it's an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Okay. I'm feeling 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I think the directing and everything was good, but aside from the characters and there could have been a little bit more
Sure.
directing, especially from Truffaut, that could have been more memorable,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But I still think it's a really good work, and I thought it was a really cute short film and very tame compared to everything else that we talk about today. So why don't you lead us into the next short film, which is The Bakery Girl of Monceau?
All right. So, The Bakery Girl of Monceau is about a law student that regularly visits a Paris bakery to flirt with a brunette employee. And the director is Eric Romer. It stars Barbet? No, Barbet.
Barbet? Barbet.
Barbet Schnrauder.
Schroeder.
Schroeder. Claudine Subwer and Michel Gardon.
Girardon.
Jadon. Yeah, that.
I don't know French. I'm just BSing at this point.
I'm trying. Let me tell you, this movie was toxic.
What a little weirdo. That is really what I just kept thinking about while I was watching it.
Is toxic. This told the audience, hey, stalk that cute girl that you see on the street every day that you don't talk to. Quit school to devote your time to stalk her. And then if it doesn't work out, if you're not meeting her, go pursue the local bakery girl, the poor girl. Ask her out on a date. Oh, wait, that girl that you stalked for 6 months, she's back and now we're getting married. And then I took her to the bakery where I flirted with the other girl. What was this movie? What was the point?
You know, it's just a lot. For, like, Antoine and Colette was not a lot. This is a lot. They're both the same, like, time. Like, they're both, like, within, like, 20 to 30 minutes long. And this is just hefty. I can understand, like, this is sadly one of those films that kind of really embarks, you know, the, oh, boys will be boys type of idea, which is, as we can see in this film, clearly doesn't age well, and it can be extremely toxic, you know? Maybe if this was a little 5-year-old boy just going around saying, like, I love the employee at the bakery, like, maybe it could be excusable, but you have a grown man who is doing this for what? Not even for love. Let's be honest. Not for love. No. For lust.
He fell in love. He was talking about, I fell in love with her the minute I bumped into her. No, he purposely bumped into her for no reason and then was like, I'm in love with her now. I laughed out loud when he said, my friend has to go back to school, but I have to drop out. I was like, what is this movie? What is it teaching everybody? He drops out of school to walk the same street every day.
So apparently also this short film is a part of several tales from the director, Eric Romer. And that I believe it's called 6 Tales from Eric Romer. And if this is, because I haven't seen much of Eric Romer, is this like, please tell me this is the most intense one. Like anyone who's seen this and the other short films, or are they all chaotic like this? Because I really need to know before diving in.
And the worst part is he marries the girl that he's essentially like stalking the whole movie.
Yeah, which is just...
That's a horrible message for every man out there. That's all they need.
So it's called 6 Moral Tales. 6 Moral Tales is the name of the...
What was that?
That's very true. I mean, it's not even like... Because I never heard of someone doing that back in the day, you know? It's not like I've heard people like, oh, yeah. Like, I've heard people like, oh, I would go here and here and, like, maybe ask her out, but not like, I dropped out of school to pursue her. And it's like, what?
And mind you, this girl, let's also explain, she didn't really seem interested. He asked her out to dinner, and she was like, oh, no, but maybe I'll see you around. Which in my head is that's girl language for get lost. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to be with you, just like, oh, okay, I'll see you around. He literally does not see her for another 6 months. So I don't think she wanted to be found by him. This wasn't like a romantic pursuit. This was like, I'm going to wait at the same spot every day for her until she comes back. And I will convince her again.
Yeah. So this is actually the first in the short film sequences. They are... excuse me, I don't believe that they are, like, the same characters are revolved around again. But this one came out in 1963, and it's the first one. And, you know, like, even the description of it, it's like, but is he truly interested, or is she just a sweet diversion? And it's like, no, you can't play it out like that. This dude's being a creepy little boy. Like, he's a grown man doing creepy little boy things. Like, it's very weird.
And okay, so I was reading as I was reading the summary on IMDb, it says he's a law student.
Could you imagine a lawyer like that representing you and then being like, I'm going to quit my lawyer job to pursue you? Like, what? Like, I would understand if he had like a friend character. I don't know if this is based on a true story, whatever it may be, but I could understand like if there was a male character that kept going, dude, you're crazy. You need to go to a psych ward. Like, chill out. Or like some person to just kind of stop him. But everyone was like, hey, boys will be boys. And it's like, what?
But I need to also point something out. If you look up for the reviews for this film, they're mostly good. And I found one that like sort of agrees with us that they're like, yeah, this is like they literally said like this is like unhealthy curiosity. And like it got like downvoted a lot. And I'm like, but it's true. Everybody,
Yeah,
I don't
like
know
I
if this
can
is just like
see.
romanticize this idea of men chasing women that don't want to be chased is like, oh, he fought for her. No. No, he's really messed up because when she doesn't come around, he flirts with the bakery girl.
And I think it's just told in a perspective where it seems like that should be normal, that this should be excusable almost. And that's where, because look, if this was portrayed in a light where it was like, oh yeah, you're meant to see this kid as crazy and weird, then I think I might have would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the fact that it's just this film kind of portrays it as like, it is what it is. It kind of leaves like like almost a slight bad taste in the mouth for it, you know?
I was like, that poor girl. Like, I'm pretty sure what was he was gonna follow her forever. That's what it seemed like.
And I want to know, because if this is six moral tales, what's the moral? Like,
That's what I'm saying.
this is moral number one. What is it?
Like to persist. I don't understand what like the moral. I don't know the moral of the story. Like this guy was very. I like I maybe he was trying to portray it where it was like, oh, this man couldn't find the courage to talk to her, so he would try to build up his courage. No, no, he
Kind
did
of makes
talk
you
to
wonder,
her.
like, what else is going to happen? Because it says that here, like, six moral tales unleashed on the film world a new voice, one that was once sexy, philosophical, modern, daring, non-judgmental, and liberating.
What? What does
Like,
that
if
mean?
that all applies to the Bakery Girl of Monceau, I'm sorry to break it to you, Criterion, but no. Like, this is just something, and like, if you think that this is like chef's kiss, like, please, like, explain to us why you would think that. I think it's just really because the narrative and how it portrays, especially since it's almost in a documentary style voiceover, it comes across very creepy to the point where it almost seems it's acceptable to happen in real life.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like people use the argument of like, oh, it was the 60s. I don't know about that. I don't know if that was like a little bit more acceptable back
Well, I mean,
then.
like, people were shooting other people left and right in the Wild Wild West in the 1800s, but you don't see that as an excuse for now. Like, you don't say, like, oh, that was just the time. People killing people. It's not like, the Han Dynasty, you know?
Yeah, it's just not. I don't know. It wasn't acceptable for me. It was. It was a strange short film
As the
because
kids say these days, it didn't pass the vibe check.
no, and I don't know what the director was trying to get across with that story. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think maybe there would be more context if we watched all the six morals, but if it's not a continuous storyline, then it just seems like this was like, oh, just kind of show this weirdo just doing his weirdo things and make it look okay.
I laughed so hard when he said he dropped out of school. That's my favorite part.
Could you imagine someone actually defending, but that kid really loved her? Like, because he loved her so much, he dropped out of school for her. Like,
Not
nope,
even
this is
looking
not
for
that.
reviews. No. Mm-mm.
Oh man, and like a lot of people do really praise this. I'm looking at the reviews right now, and I don't know. If you praise this, please let us know what you see in this film that thinks it deserves this much praise. Because even I'm going to be realistic from a writing standpoint, and just reviewing this as a whole, not Six Moral Tales in general. We can't review that because we obviously haven't watched it all, but just this short film as a whole. What do you think makes it good? If you agree with us, if you don't agree with us, and also, personally speaking, directing wise, and in terms of story wise, air quote, it really doesn't do anything for me. It's just like, okay, here's like, this really looks like a very weird film school student type of film from the 60s, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with that, all of that being said, what do you rate it?
A 5 out of 10.
I was feeling 4. You
Yeah,
know,
it
Eric,
probably deserves a 4. I'm just trying to be nice because
for me personally, there was nothing really except for just the laugh of having like, I shall drop out of law school to pursue her. And like, you know, even like, it's just so weird because even the Criterion Collection kind of going like, oh, what are his intentions? It's like, we all know what his intentions are. So why are we talking about this film like
there was
in
no,
this way?
but like even saying there was pursuit, there was no pursuit. My thing is, in order to, I think for me, I mean, I guess consensual wise, I feel like in order to pursue somebody, like you have to know the person and be in contact with them. It
Yeah, and
genuinely
you actually
feel
have to
like
make an effort, not just be like,
I'm
may I
gonna.
have a pastry? May I have your hand in marriage?
But
Like, you
also,
can't
it's
just
like
do
don't
that.
walk the same street. Like all he did, the homie was walk the same street until he ran into her again. That's it.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, I kind of wish that there was like a little bit of a like the moral of the story is don't be this kid. And if you feel like you are this kid, get help. I wish was there somewhere. Like I said, I think it's also that documentary style just kind of perceives it in a way where it's deemed acceptable, or at least it wants you to feel as if it's
Yeah,
acceptable
because
when it
like
shouldn't be.
he's like, I love her, and everyone's just like, oh, see, it's love. But I'm just kind of like, hmm, no, that's a little
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So okay, 4 and 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
guys.
all right, we're going in to the creme de la creme of the night. We're talking about The Woman Next Door. So, when we were deciding, okay, Eclipse, put her out the door, put her out the window. We're not talking about her tonight.
No, no.
When we were thinking, what should we do? I was like, oh, we talked about Truffaut. Let's do another Truffaut. And who was there in our guiding light of decision? Gérard Depardieu. So, The Woman Next Door. What a segue. The
The
Woman Next
accent.
Door came out in 1981. Fun fact, that's my Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory voice. The Woman Next Door came out in 1981, written and directed by Francois Truffaut, and it's about two ex-lovers wind up living next door to each other with their respective spouses, and forbidden passions ensue. And it stars Fanny Ardant and Gérard Depardieu. So I'm so happy we picked this film. This was like a discovery because I don't think I would have sat down. I'm not a big romance person, so I don't think I would have sat down to watch this movie. I think because it's just like, oh, the woman next door is going to be a little bit of a love affair, but no, it's juicy. What did you think, Savanna?
What a twist. What I did not even guess. Like the beginning is very, I will say, like standard, like, oh, like it's my lover from 20 years ago and he's back.
Not
But
even 8 years ago.
yeah,
It's
like
8 years
very,
ago.
very considerably recent. But the movie really like goes full speed after the first meeting. Like you're just like watching a train wreck and you'd kind of know. Like I realized right when they kind of, spoiler alert, they get together. But once they got together again, I was like, oh no, this is gonna end really bad.
I think what I was expecting from this film for it to be very, I don't know why I was getting like Casablanca vibes, where it's like, oh, we love each other, but we can't do it. Like I thought it was going to be something like that,
Uh-huh.
but instead it went to the route of, yeah, we love each other, but we are so toxic to each other that we give each other mental issues, which I was not aware that this was going to happen. But let me tell you right now, I was here for it because this film, as many people do not want to perceive it, is actually, in my opinion, a very realistic film. Because I've never seen a film, a romance, get really nitty-gritty into toxic relationships.
I didn't want to touch on that. And I think, like you were saying, there is a trope in Hollywood where, like, if two people don't belong together, then they, like, gracefully separate or something happens. But in this movie, like, there is a moral of the story, which I actually really like, is sometimes it's just better to stay away. Like, genuinely. Sometimes it is better not to rekindle whatever passion you had with somebody.
And the way that they just get together, it's not like because, Depardieu, he kind of fights for a little bit. He, like, doesn't want to make eye contact with her. But literally, the minute they see each other, it's like, so we're going to rent an apartment for a month, right? And just see each other weekly and just screw around. And he's like, yeah. Like, literally, like, nothing. There was no, like, hey, how are you? Oh, times have changed. There was none of that. It's just like, we're going to do this, right? Yeah, we're going to do this. Which was just, I was floored at how full speed chaos came into, like,
but it's
it
very
came into the
smart
picture.
because you see, right, even with little choices, how bad they are. What bad influences they are on each other.
And
Like,
you would never think, because of the beginning and how they were portrayed. Like, I was looking at Depardieu's character, I was like, what a great husband, what a great father. And then all of a sudden he's like, looks at his
now
neighbor, he's
with
like,
her in the
I'm
grocery
gonna screw her
parking
tomorrow. And
lot.
it's like, what? Like, there was literally no, like, it was almost like a flip of a switch in both of them when they laid eyes on each other. It was like, oh, turn off personality A, here's personality B. Like, it's just something, and I never heard of this film before. I've never heard of this film before, and I'm a little bit surprised that it's not talked about more, because in terms of, like, earlier movies talking about mental illnesses, I do feel like this is ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about the two side characters because
Mm-hmm.
I think they're really important. I want to talk about the husband and the wife.
So, Depardieu and Ardant's husband and wife, respectively. Okay, what do you want to talk about
So
about them?
Arlette, I want to talk about how forgiving Arlette is.
Okay, theory. I have a theory. Okay, why would they be that forgiving?
Dude,
Were
because
they sleeping with each other?
oh,
That's what I thought. Because how did he get his wife pregnant if he was sleeping around with another woman?
I mean, he could, just to play devil's advocate, he could be a slime ball and just been
He could just be a sex addict.
getting around town. But it really shocked me because this woman, and I could see why he would go there, because his wife, I think her name was Arlette, was like, oh, it's understandable that you would feel that way after 8 years. And
And even the husband,
what
and
the
he was
hell?
like, yeah, like, he was like, you're a liar, but I'm in love with a liar. How are you? Like, it was just like,
Yeah, it
what?
was very, like, but I think it was to show, my theory is also, like, how awful these people are. They found such good people, and the husband, I think, knew, and this is why I don't know about the sleeping together theory, is because the husband did knew she was off. He even says at some point, like, yeah, like, I just married her after, because I think he knew that she just got out of a relationship. He's like, yeah, I just knew and married her. And
Wait, which character married her? Depardieu married Arlette?
no, Philippe, I think Philippe,
Yeah,
uh,
Philippe.
Madeline, I forget how to say her name.
I just pronounce it Matilda because it's a
Madeline?
weird, it's a Matilda, but a little bit different. So I'm just going to say Matilda.
Yeah. So I think he knew she was off because just of little things he would say. Arlette, don't know what was going on there. She was just too much. It was just like, no, yeah, I like understand. And what really got me is at one point, Bernard hits Madeline at a party and Madeline passes out. And Arlette's reaction is, yeah, like, I get it. And I'm like, what is this? I would have been out. I would have been like, you slapped the neighbor's wife at a party? That would have been it for me. I don't even need to
And then
know
not only
why.
that, but, like, there were windows everywhere. Everyone could see Bernard screaming at this woman who's not his wife, saying, "Kiss me, just kiss me now." Like, what? And everyone's just like, as cool as a cucumber. Everyone's like, oh, like he's about to hit her, but no one said he hit her. And look at the guy and look at the girl, like, and like the respective husbands and wife be like, they're screwing. Like, no one did that. Everyone kept their mouth shut, and they were just like, oh my God, he hit her. If I was there, I'd be like, yo, he hit her and they're screwing. That's not right. Like,
Also,
I would have been off in that situation.
About that scene, there was also like a random lady there in between them. She was like,
oh
stop,
yeah, Juve,
stop.
little
And I was
Juve
like,
with the little prosthetic leg.
yeah, like I was like, she didn't do nothing.
But she kind of acts as like this weird like narrator. Almost it feels like the director just jumping in as a woman in the movie, just going like, "Oh hey, I'm gonna let you know about this," and like talk to the camera for a little bit, and then I'll let you know at the end, and then I'll come in, and kind of help you connect dots into stuff like that. Like, and I don't think it was super necessary, but it was very weird. Especially her whole story of how, like, I think her husband was cheating, and so she threw herself out a window, but there was a sunroof of some kind, so she didn't die. She only just messed up her leg. But at the same, like, and I just thought it was weird because I was like, why is everyone talking about her leg? Like, what does this mean? What does it have to do with the story?
They were treating her like she was an actual cripple. I was like, I mean, she's all right.
So I want to go back real quickly to the respective husbands and the wives. So what I also am curious to know your opinion on, because I could see that easily, that the pregnancy, idea that I had being debunked. But I wonder if this is also a side showing that not only, like, I think it tries to show two types of toxic relationships, and I want your opinion. Obviously, the toxic relationship that is between Bernard and Matilda, but the toxic relationship that occurs when a spouse loves the other way more and it makes them too blind and too forgiving. Because I do think that is can be considered very toxic. Because that's what I mean. The spouses love them, like, way more than they love them. Obviously, if that was the case, then they wouldn't cheat.
So I actually agree with you on that, because to be fair, maybe at least Bernard seemed like a good family man. He had 2 kids. He seemed to work hard before Matilda came back into his life. But as it becomes more clear and almost like in her face that they're having an affair, she becomes more passive.
Yeah, she becomes very, and like, especially with the whole, when Matilda ends up going into the little psych hospital.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, you should go see her.
It's like, what?
And even like Bernard's like, don't you want to know where I've been all this evening? She's like, no, not really. Like, huh?
I mean, it could also be that she didn't really want to face it. Like, she
That
loved
too.
him that
I don't know.
much.
I feel like that there would have been a little bit more of ignorance to it, not so much kindness. Because she was very, like, both the spouses were really kind, considering everything that was going on.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with, like, just to show how awful they are, because they were married. It wasn't even like, things were getting old and there was no love. You pointed out a scene in the beginning where the guy was talking about he can't have sex with his wife in the garden anymore. So there was clearly something.
Oh my God, wait, hold on. We gotta pause, because they get neighbors, and then the best quote is, we can't have sex in the garden anymore because the grass keeps touching my ass and I keep getting colds. Like, that is, I was thinking about that line for like 45 minutes straight today, because it's caught me off guard so quickly.
Yes.
Like, I just, like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, this is gonna be a good film. Like, I knew it set the tone for everything. I was like, this is good. This is what I want to see.
But that's important, because it did, like, even something little like that, it shows me, like, no, there was love and passion in their marriage. So I think it just hammers the fact that these are very toxic people.
Yeah, they're toxic to their own spouses, to a point where, and the reason I think that they are so toxic to each other is because it seems like when one cannot have the upper hand in the relationship, the other just spirals, or they end up spiraling out.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
Because when, Bernard was like, "I don't want you to go," and she was like, no, I have to go. It's my honeymoon." And he got extremely violent out of nowhere. I think it's
Yeah.
because they're both abusers who are not, and I think it made it even more worse when they try to come back together, because it's like this vicious cycle where they're just trying to struggle for power. And the reason why they continually go back to their old relationships instead of being with each other is because they don't have equal power. Like they have equal power when they're together, but there's no shift and imbalance to where one has more power over the other when Bernard and Matilda are together.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. And I think that comes full circle in the ending. But I wanted to ask you, I was a little confused on why she ended up going to the mental hospital. Like, I know she had a mental breakdown, but no, never mind. I remember it's because of she was somewhere, right? And they were talking about it. Like two men were talking about like, oh, the neighbor getting with the
Yeah,
other
and then she
neighbor.
was face down in the grass, just like Sarah Paulson crying like that, like in the grass, like. So that's why I think it's also like, let's be honest, kind of it shows like a double standard. Like a man can freak out, be like, whoa, 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 he's just having a moment. But the moment a woman cries in the grass, they're like, take her to the ward, you know. I mean, and it's realistic for the time, of course.
No,
Um,
that is our next shirt is take her to the ward.
Take her to the ward. Just if anyone's acting goofy, you just tell him, take him to the ward. That's it.
Right, nobody took him to the psych ward when he slapped her in front of everybody.
Yeah, and then at the in like honeymoon celebratory party, literally after he's like, "We will officially be a married couple," he's like, "Kiss me, just kiss me," like in front of everyone.
Like
And
that
it's
was
like,
his like think about it. Like that was his mental breakdown.
yeah, for sure, that was his mental breakdown. And man, like I think it's just a well written film. I really think that this is just a really well written film, because I think both realistically, like the breakdowns for Bernard's character and the breakdown for Matilda are very. Well, I'm not going to say too accurate because am not a professional in psychology, but from what I have seen, seems pretty realistic, in terms of like how Bernard handled things, and also kind of how Matilda handled things, and how even like her exaggerating and like just to get away and just to be able to process, and almost like let's be honest, she did that to get the attention of Bernard.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then what did she do? When he was there and he's like, "Hello." She's like, "I don't want to talk to you." To get the power. Like that was her just saying like, "Oh, you're here? Yoink, I'm going to take your power." Like that, I have control now. Like, "Oh, you thought I was doing all this crying stuff for you?" I was, but now I'm not even going to acknowledge you. And I really think that it shows at that moment how far off she had been, cuz she didn't have a family, and even though she tried to make her children's story and stuff like that her baby, it was never enough, like how it was enough for Bernard.
Yeah.
Because the minute Bernard was expecting another kid, he was like, "Oh, time to be a papa again." Like, like I'm all good, like all clean and everything like that. And he was good. Like there were no issues. But for her, she never had that closure. Like in terms of like, at least he had that to like kind of take the focus off himself, whereas she didn't. She only had
No,
a book, but that wasn't enough for her.
definitely.
And I think
Definitely.
that's why she goes to the links that she did. So let's discuss. You know, I think it's just so good how they set it up too. You have little Bernard sneaking around in his jammies going, "I hear a noise. Is it maybe her? No, it can't be. She's left." And then what do you know? She is there. One last rendezvous. They start stripping in the doorway. They're making out on the concrete floor. I don't know where they were.
They were like, yeah, I don't know where that was at all. I think it was in her house somewhere because Well,
that's where they showed at the end where
yeah.
people were leaving and stuff. But it was very animalistic. It was very like, oh yes, like this is like, it was almost like natural inhibitions just kicked in and they were like, oh yes, we must have sex now because that is what our body is telling us to do. No brain involved here. So when they do it, and then what happens, boom, out of nowhere, Matilda has a gun, kills him, kills her. Now let's discuss
What a what a
why.
what a bang. Way to go out.
Literally.
Like, I think she realized that she is not going to win. Like, I
Yeah.
think she realized when he left after, he was not gonna deal with her anymore. I do think that was, like, even though, like, he goes in and he sees her and it was a moment of passion, let's say she didn't kill him, I think that would have been the end of it.
I think, yeah, she had lost really the moment that he was coming to the psych ward and wasn't trying, because I think also because one of her biggest motions was like, I just want to talk, and they would never talk. And I think she always wanted this type of proof to herself that's like, oh, he only wants me for sex, oh, he only wants me, for lust and whatever. And finally he would go and would just talk to her, and I think it was just too much, almost too much for her to handle, to know that, like, oh, he is better than she thinks, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because she would always be like, let's talk. And he'd be like, we could talk later. And now he was finally talking, and she was like, oh no. And I think she kind of just realized that, like, I agree with you, that he could have gotten out of the cycle. She couldn't.
On the other hand, I also think it could be a situation where, like, maybe she thought it would never end. Because I could see it both ways. I could see it thinking like, okay, this is done. I want to win, or like, this is literally never going to end with him. We are just going to shift power balances, because at the end of the day, it didn't seem like they were moving.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like the husband was just like, you know what, it's not a good idea to live next to your lover.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like they were gonna just go back to whatever they were doing before. So I was thinking it could go either way. I think also she was kind of like, no, we can't
And
go
she
back after this.
seemingly always had this desire to have her husband hate her. Like, she would always ask these things like, do you hate me? And he's like, no. And she would always kind of like look at him like a confused puppy almost. Like,
Because I think she wanted that, because I think maybe it would have been easy for her to leave. Because
yeah.
like I said, the spouses were so nice. So nice. Ridiculously nice.
I just like, I really can't get over this film. It really shocked me. And like, I can see people not liking the ending, but honestly, I think this was almost the only way. Because I think if they would have gone their own way respectively,
Yeah.
you would have lost all the power that this film had carried with till the end.
Mhm.
Like, you would have lost the whole illness and everything and stuff, and the exaggeration of it.
Yeah.
So I really did. And I also, Last Tango in Paris, LTIP. I really, I like a good tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
like
I thought the
chaotic
acting was
energy.
superb in this film too. I will say I kept looking at Fanny Ardant, which I've never seen her in a movie before personally, and she reminds me so much. And I the name escapes me, and maybe you can help me. The actress who was married to Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes.
Yes,
From The Aviator?
Aviator. Yes.
Are you thinking about Ava Gardner?
Yes, thank you. She reminds me so
She
much
she
of
does
this
look like
mix
her.
between oh man, Gina Davis
She looks
and
like a
Ava
lot like
Gardner.
that's exactly who I was thinking of. She does, like, look a lot like Gina Davis.
Yeah, so I think and like I said, I've never seen her in a movie before. I was very surprised by her acting. I thought she was a really good actress. Depardieu just kills it.
Of
I
course.
really am growing to like him a lot as an actor. I started off with Under the Son of Satan, which we've talked about. which you can check out on our websites and whatnot. But I enjoyed Depardieu here as well. I think he's just a really talented actor too.
Yeah, definitely. He was great in the movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's your rating?
I really liked it. I'm gonna give it a 9.
I think I'm gonna go a little bit higher than you because I really love my tragedies.
Yeah.
I'm feeling 9.4. Like, seriously, if you ask me though, like, what are your favorite romance films? All of them end with someone passing away.
Is that even romantic at that point?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's realistic. Everyone passes.
Yeah, but in the way that you enjoy seeing, where someone usually
Well, hey,
all those films. Wait a minute, all those films you like, somebody gets shot.
hey, no. There was a gun in Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't kidding. No, it was tuberculosis. It was TB.
Yeah, but in Last Tango in Paris, he almost dies the same way. Literally.
He does die. So, okay, yes. Maybe I just have a thing for leading men in romance films who dies via gunshot. Apologies if that is a crime.
Dude, I was just thinking of something.
Would you like to share?
As a romantic gesture, your boyfriend
Zach kills himself. No.
I was gonna say that he just takes a picture with like a gun.
No. No. But like I get like a sweet little message from him and it's like to remind you of all your favorite movies. And it's just it'll be him but like curled up fetal position, like passed out like how Brando was in Last Tango in Paris.
He just makes the scene. He has like fake blood and a gun next to him.
That's so messed up. That is so messed up. You know it's messed up when I'm saying it's messed up, Savanna.
But I feel like you would appreciate it.
I don't think I would. I mean, maybe the theatrics of it, but the actual notion of saying like, hey, I know you like weird things, so I'm going to do this weird thing for you. I know what my issues are. I don't need to be reminded of them.
That would be the funniest thing ever.
I feel like there's more movies that end with like the male lead being a samurai, but that's not romance. Technically not.
You just like men via gunshot. That's what you like.
Oh man, this doesn't look good, man.
I'm telling
I mean, look, it is what it is. I'm sorry that all of those stories have just great plots to them. What do you like? Disney movies?
No, I enjoy a good tragedy. It's just my thing is it becomes a pattern if you like the 5 of them. If that's all you like.
It's not all I like.
Well,
I like other things. I like The Thing. The Thing isn't horror.
Everybody dies in The Thing. Almost.
Man, I'm really going through all the list of my favorite movies, and every single one of them has death in it. Yeah. What does that mean?
I mean, most movies, to be fair, most movies do have some kind of theme of death in it. You just like the violent... the violent type.
Where do I go from here? Like, mentally, where do I go? Do I have to change? Do I have to tell myself, like, hey... Stop liking these type of movies. It's dangerous. No, I don't think it's dangerous.
I don't think... No, I'm not. I think it's okay. I was just making the joke that what if you get a portrait like that? Because of your taste.
If only you could see my face right now. My face is just like disbelief, just staring at my desk, not knowing what to do right now at this point.
I don't know why. I just popped into my head. I think it's really funny that I'm thinking about this. Because I think oh, I got a good laugh.
You know what? I'm going to put you on the spot. Hey guys, guess what? One time me and Savanna were in a Target and she looked at the word we and was like, it says oi.
You want to know what's really sad? I took French for
No,
a
you took French?
I took
You
French.
no, you seriously took French because
I
my
did.
fake French is so much better than your real French.
No, I took it for like a year, and when I saw the word
All
"we,"
you know is bonjour.
oh no!
That's all you
I know s'il vous plaît. I know that too. I was never good at the pronunciation. No, but when I saw "we," it just never. It was almost like I've never seen that word on paper. It just did not register in my mind that was French. So I was
Oh
like,
my god.
"Oi."
Yeah, she just went oi, and like she was just giggling in the aisle and stuff like that, and she was like, it says oi, and I'm like, it says we, it's French, and you just kind of like leaned your head against the notebook. It was a notebook. Why do notebooks say we on it? I don't know. You just kind of leaned your head against the aisle, and you just kind of felt like in disbelief for a little bit.
Now
You know what
everyone's
that
gonna
reminds
know.
me of? I have a friend who will not be named. I'm sorry, this is so off topic, but I was just talking about it today with my mother, where I had a friend we were at a Walgreens and we were in the beauty aisle, and I just hear, like, you know how some people they have different laughs, and they have like a special dumb laugh where it's like like, you know, that
Yeah.
like real low and deep dumb laugh. And I look over and I'm like, what are you doing? And they go, it says bee slave, and they're just pointing at like a little product, and I go, that says Burt's Bees salve. Burt's Bees salve. And they were like,
Beef slave.
oh. And but
Beef
in a
slave.
Walgreens, and they said it out loud, and I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Bee slave. That's how I'm going to refer to that brand.
Don't you dare. Now's not the time, Savanna.
Bee slave.
Like, seriously, like, that was just something that I was just talking about it today. So now, congratulations, Savannah. You have been placed in a similar category under bee slave / oid.
Oi.
Oi.
Oi. It's
Oh,
fine.
man.
We all have
All
our
right.
days.
So you said you gave a 9 for The Woman Next Door.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 9.4. I feel good with a 9.4. It feels right. Let's check out what movies we're gonna be talking about next time you listen to us. Savannah, do you know actually what DVDs you're gonna be covering for your little segment next week?
I was probably going to do The Virgin Suicides. That's one of our older
Nice.
reviews. So I was like, okay, start from the beginning.
Ooh, yes. So next week, one of the movies that we're going to be talking about is Fox and His Friends,
Cute.
as well as a short film called The Acquaintance of a Lonely John, and the short film version of Fear Eats the Soul. So that should be interesting. I got to dive in. Do I have any German records? We'll see. We'll see. I might have some German records. So yeah, so until next time, the next time you guys listen to us, we'll either be doing our own little thing on Instagram and Twitter, which if you don't follow, you can find us at just looking up Purple Noon or Purple Noon Podcast. And yeah, let us know what you think of our new little segments. And until next time, you will hear us be talking about Fox and His Friends, The Acquaintance of a Lonely John, and Fear Eats the Soul, the short film. So we'll see you next time.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
God.